Hey everyone, this is Mukesh Utwani once again from learn-automation.com. Today, I'm very excited to announce that we are going to start a new series on Playwright with Java. Recently, I have completed one series on Playwright, and this is the Playwright which I'm talking about. In this series, we discussed about what is Playwright, features, functionality, different ways to interact with browser, but it is completely with JavaScript. So those who are looking Playwright with JavaScript, I would highly recommend you to watch this series. It has around 28 videos which will give you more clarity how Playwright works with JavaScript. Now if you are someone who likes lengthy videos, then I have compiled the complete series, and this is an 8-hour long video where you will learn Playwright again with JavaScript into a single video. This series which I'm going to start now, it is going to be Playwright with Java. Now Playwright supports multiple programming languages like Java, JavaScript, Python and .NET. So this is a second series on Playwright. Now those who are coming from Selenium background, and if you know Java, it will be a gold mine because you already know Java, you have worked with Selenium. Now switching from Selenium to Playwright will be very easy for you, and trust me, you will be amazed by the feature which Playwright provides. And that is the reason I can see in most of the job description nowadays the secondary tool mentioned is Playwright or Cypress. So I can see the huge change in the requirement. Initially last year every job description was having Cypress. Now I can see Playwright is picking up the market, and you will see Playwright should be your secondary skill. If you're starting your automation journey, I will still recommend Selenium first, then Playwright. But if you're someone who knows Selenium, Playwright should be the next choice. Okay. So I would highly recommend you to watch at least the first video, which is what is Playwright, because in this video I talked about the different features, functionality which Playwright provides and how it is different from Selenium. In this video, we are quickly going to configure, download, install Playwright on my Mac operating system, and I will show you how you can invoke different browsers. And once you are done with the setup part, you can either follow this documentation or follow the series. We'll talk about the different feature functionality, how to automate browsers and how to automate APIs as well. Playwright supports API testing too. So with the help of Playwright, you can do cross browser, plus you can do API testing as well. I will be providing multiple chapters in this video. So basically, if you already know what is Playwright, you can skip this chapter, directly move to download, install, configure and how to invoke browser. But if you're completely new, watch this video till the end and also watch what is Playwright, the different feature functionality. You will get more clarity. A small request to all of you, if you can watch this series till the end, you will understand how Playwright works and why Playwright is in demand. What are the different features it provides? Very unique features. And important part is free. Okay, works with different browsers, works with different programming languages. So if you are someone who wants to stay in automation field, then Playwright should be in your bucket. Yeah. Now quickly I will explain what is Playwright, how it is different features and functionality it provides. But for detailed explanation, you need to watch the video. Now this is the official website, which is playwright.dev, and right now I'm talking about Java. But let's say if you are comfortable with Python, you're coming from a Python background, you can pick Python. If you're coming from C# background, you can go with .NET. And if you're coming from Java background, this is what we are going to discuss. The features, functionality will remain same, only the language binding will change. Now, why it is getting popular? Okay, why companies are looking for Playwright, which is advanced library for browser automation? First of all, it is backed by Microsoft. Okay, so all the major updates that you see is directly coming from Microsoft. It's getting maintained by Microsoft. Initially it was a fork of Puppeteer, but now it's a separate library backed and supported by Microsoft. Any browser, any platform, one API. It means Playwright supports multiple browsers. So if you can see here, it supports Chrome, Edge, Firefox and Safari browser. Any platform means it supports your Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and if you're using any CI tool, it is either local or on cloud, it runs all. Interesting part is multi-language support. It uses JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, .NET and Java. This is what we are going to cover. Test mobile web. This is something very interesting. This means that if you want to test your application on mobile web view, you can do that with the help of emulation in Playwright. What I mean, suppose if I inspect this, okay, so you can see I can change the emulation, right? how my application will look like in different devices, for example iPhone SE, iPhone Pixel 7, or maybe iPad Air. I can change this emulation easily when it comes to Playwright. So this is what it says. Now this is something unique because this is what Selenium also provides, but this is something is unique here. Auto waits. Playwright waits for web element to be in actionable state prior to performing action. What it says, by default, the moment you start working with Playwright, it uses something called auto wait. To give you an example, suppose you want to interact with this radio button or checkbox or maybe text box. So before doing any operation, it will do certain checks. When I say checks, it should be present, it should be visible, it should not be stale, it should be attached, it should be enabled. These are the default checks which Playwright will do before doing any operation, auto waits. So the moment you start working, you will notice today itself that if I try to find some element that is not available, by default it will wait. How much it will wait, what is the polling time, that you will see today, but it will perform auto waits. But let's see, if you want to wait for a particular web element, yes, it has multiple waits as well, that you want to wait maybe for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or a specific amount of time for a particular element or condition, we can do that, but by default auto wait is enabled. Web first assertion is basically, even if you don't add, the moment you navigate from one page to another page, one activity to another activity, it will do certain assertions. The network calls, the status code automatically checks, but you can customize that as well. That is actually automatically retried until the certain conditions are not met. This is again an amazing feature called tracing. You can capture the trace video screenshot of the test that you execute. For example, if you are running one test, it is going through multiple steps, okay? Each step is doing some operation. Your page is navigating from one page, your test is navigating from one page to another page. It can trace that what was the state before click, after click, before doing this activity, after doing this activity, what happened between the navigation, when you went from one page to another page, what changed. Everything can be traced with this tracing feature. Obviously we need to enable this, which I will show you how to enable this. Coming back to the next module is no trade-off, no limit. It means it does not have any restrictions. So whatever see on the web page you can automate. Obviously few controls are still we cannot control, like say you have a very heavy graphs, analytical charts, that we will not automate. But if you compare with traditional tools, we don't have much limitations here. It supports different tabs, frames, multiple origin, multiple user with the help of context, which anyways we'll discuss. Trusted agents and the frames, and auto piercing of shadow DOM. Again, little technical, so we'll talk about this once we move it. But no trade-offs. If you're coming from Cypress we have multiple trade-offs. So that trade-offs we don't have in Playwright. Now this is again something new feature which is called browser context. Now Playwright works with browser context, and login once is basically, okay, let me talk about this browser context. So every time you open a browser, Playwright will create a context for you. Okay, so suppose if I want to use one application with 3 different users, you don't need 3 browsers. Same browser you can open in three contexts, and you can simply simulate how my application work with different users. Let's say I logged in with admin user, normal user, and let's say super admin user. If I work with Selenium, I need to start 3 browsers, but here with one browser you can open 3 contexts and you can test this application. Login one means is basically you can save the authentication state and you can reuse in all the tests. You will bypass this repeated login operation for each test. Suppose if I have 100 test cases which I need to automate, and all these 100 tests will go through a login. Now one of the tests will maintain the login functionality, okay, do all the assertions. But let's say the remaining 99, why should I go with this login test again? Because this we tested separately, so ideally we can reuse this in all this state, right? And this is what we do manually. We log in once, complete the testing, and then we come out. In Playwright, you can save this authentication state into a JSON file, and you can reuse this login functionality across all the tests. You will save a lot of time, plus you can bypass this authentication steps. Okay, just one more section is basically powerful tooling. It gives you multiple tools that you can use. CodeGen, as the name says, code generator. It will help you to generate the test. So you can record the test, convert into different languages, and you can directly import and you can start using it. Playwright also comes with its own inspector. You can inspect the page, generate the selectors, and you can actually debug it. Okay, so you can see what is happening at each step. Very powerful inspector and debugger too. Trace Viewer is basically, as I told you, right, it can do the tracing for you. So if you come back to this tracing, so for this tracing, so you can use their own trace viewer where you can capture all the information which has been captured during tracing, and you can use it for debugging. So that's a quick intro about Playwright. Now let's continue with how to get started. Obviously, since we are discussing Java, you need to have Java on your local system. So I'm assuming that you already have Java, but if you don't have, there's a quick video how to install Java, how to configure it. Please go ahead, watch this video, make sure Java is configured, and then you can continue with this video. So let me quickly show you which Java version I have. So if I type Java space hyphen version, I'm using Java 11, but you can use 11 above 11. So make sure you take 11 plus 11, 17, 21, 23. I'm using 11 for the series. So all set. We discussed about what is Playwright. It's an open source library for web automation. Plus you can do API testing as well. Different features we discussed. Now let's continue with how to download and install. Now, if you go to their official documentation, click on get started. This is the complete guide that we need to follow. Now, obviously you don't have to follow each and every feature, otherwise you will keep on learning. I will quickly show you what is important features that you need to learn in order to automate any web application. Now, in order to start, you need one IDE, integrated development environment, basically one editor where you will write the code. You can use IntelliJ, you can use Eclipse, you can use NetBeans, Visual Code, it's up to you. I will be using Eclipse throughout the series, but doesn't matter which IDE you use, follow the same process and you will be able to work with Playwright. Now I already have Eclipse here, but this is little old, not older version, just latest -1. So in this video I will quickly install the latest Eclipse which got released recently. I'm recording this series in September, and September we have a new release of Eclipse which I will install, and I'll show you how to get started. So in order to continue, once you have Java, just navigate to eclipse.org, which is the official website for Eclipse. Now click on download and scroll down. You will see download packages, and see this is September release 2024, which we are going to use now. Now don't get confused which version of Eclipse you have to use. So right now, if you want to go with older version, these are the older versions. This is June release, March release. So basically they have quarterly updates. This is what we're using. Now which version you have, which type of Eclipse you need to use. Eclipse is available for C, C++ developers, DSL developers, modeling tool, Eclipse committer. Come down and just look for Eclipse IDE for Java developers. I'm using Mac, so I will continue with Mac, but if you're using Windows, please go ahead with Windows option. Let me use this. Now it's coming as a DMG file, so I will quickly download. It's taking some time to download. Now in the meanwhile, first thing that you will notice, Playwright is coming as a Maven module. So basically it's coming as a Maven dependency, which we will use it. So if you open this link, this is an introduction about what is Maven. And if you click on this documentation, you will get some Maven documentation, how you can get started in 5 minutes. This is the main point. You need to use one dependency, which is this, and we're good to go. So which I will show you. So let me quickly open this. Now I will double click on it. It's a DMG file. So you can see this option. I will double click on it. It says it's coming from internet. Do you want to open it? I will say yes. September 2024 release. But again guys, please, if you have the older versions, no need to download it. Okay, you can continue with the older version as well. Since I'm recording a fresh video, I'm giving a try with a new version. First time that you start, it will ask you, give me the directory. Basically it's a workspace where all our project will be stored. I will give this as Playwright YouTube. So this will be my directory where my project will be stored. After the launch, you will be getting this welcome window. It's completely optional. You can either click on hide or you can click on welcome. Now just double click. So it will come in a full view and we're good to go. Now guys, please follow the steps properly and don't just watch the video. After the video, please install Eclipse. If you already have Eclipse, follow the instructions and make sure you're able to start browsers at least today. Once the browser you're able to invoke, then you can follow any video, any tutorial, you're good to go. So please make sure you practice this and let me know if you face any issue. Now I will go ahead and create our first Maven project. So click on create a Maven project. You can select this checkbox called create a simple project. Click on next. Now to allow you, ask you group ID and artifact ID, I will say Playwright Java. You can give any name. I'm just giving Playwright Java, Playwright Java. Click on finish. Now this project is ready and this is our pom.xml. In this XML, we have to give the dependencies. Open this pom.xml file. Now if you come across this issue, see just now I created project, but I'm getting this CVCELT1.a. So what you need to do, you will find HTTP, right? Just replace this with HTTPS. All the HTTPs that you can see, just replace with HTTPS. And now we are good to go. I will increase the font size. Now this Playwright is coming as a dependency. So if you notice here, this is my dependency. So copy this tag. So parent tag is dependencies. Okay. This is the parent tag. Within this parent tag, you can have multiple dependency. Since we're just getting started, right now we're just using one dependency. Moving forward, you will be using TestNG, maybe you will be using Apache Commons, you will be using Apache POI. All this library will be coming as a dependency. They all will fall under dependencies tag. As of now, I'm just using one dependency. That is the only setup we need to do and we are good to go now. So once you have added the dependency, I will go ahead and create our first Playwright test. Now I'm not using any JUnit or testing as of now. I will simply create a Java program and I will show you how to invoke browser. Moving forward, once you start using TestNG, we'll add TestNG dependencies and we'll use annotations. As of now, no JUnit, no TestNG. It's plain Java program with publish static void main. Now, since I'm not using any testing framework, either I can start directly in src main Java or src test Java. So I will continue with src test Java because moving forward, I will be using TestNG. So first thing that we need is package. I will say getting started. This is the package name. And now I will be creating a Java class and I will write first Playwright test. Publish static void main and click on finish. Within this main method, now we can start writing our first Playwright script. For this, you have to go back. This is what you need for dependencies. And guys, if you come back to system requirement, Java 8 or higher, I will not recommend it. Go with 11 plus. For Windows, you guys can use Windows 10 plus, Windows Server 2016, Mac OS 13 or 14. I am using right now 14, which is Sonoma 14.5. And if you're working with Linux, you can use Debian 11, 12, Ubuntu 20.04 or Ubuntu 22.04, 24.04, and it supports these two architectures. So come back to Eclipse. Now in order to start, you just write PLA and press Ctrl space from the keyboard. Okay, if you want to write, you can directly write, but I'm using auto suggestions. So the moment I type PLA and Ctrl space, I got this is the parent interface. You can see it's coming from com.microsoft.playwright. From this package, we are getting this interface. And if you see the documentation, Playwright module provides a method to launch a browser instance, and they have given the sample code as well. So I will explain you one by one how it works. Just say Playwright. Now you have to use a method called create. Notice it's giving you a Playwright reference. It belongs to Playwright and it returns the reference of Playwright. So store this in a Playwright reference. So I will say Playwright. Just let me use PW. You can give any reference name, but right now I'm using PW. Now once you get this PW reference, now you have to choose which browser you want to use. So you can see we have a Chromium, we have a Firefox, we also have a WebKit. Now the moment I say .chromium, so you can notice Chromium is a method which returns a reference of browser type. So this method will help you to connect to a browser instance. Now why it is Chromium, why not Chrome? See, by default Playwright works with the browser engines. What it means, suppose if I'm using at the time of recording Chrome 129. So Chromium is a engine, right? So by default it works with always stable +1. It means it directly uses the engine. So you are already on the +1 side. So you are directly testing on the engine, which is Chromium engine, which is 130. Does it mean we will not be able to automate Chrome, Firefox and Edge? Answer is yes. By default it uses Chromium engine. But if you want to go with the stable version, browser versions, we can do that as well. As of now I'm using Chromium. Now go back. You will see browser type. Again, it's a separate interface. So let me use browser. Now let me rename this, otherwise the next statement will confuse you. So I got the browser type. Now using this browser type, the moment I say launch, now I will get the browser instance. So again, you need to store in a browser reference, and again it's coming from Playwright. Now you will be wondering that Mukesh, just to invoke browser, why we need to write so many stuff? I totally agree. In Selenium it's quite straightforward, but here you need to create a Playwright instance, then a specific browser type, and then a browser instance. Moving forward you will be creating context as well. But again guys, once you create framework, this can be wrapped into a method and you will just keep calling a method. So it is just the internal architecture is different, so we have to go through multiple steps, and I will show you how you can reduce this code. We'll create a reusable method, we'll keep calling them, we'll simply pass the browser parameter and the URL parameter, and we'll get the browser. As of now, just understand how these methods are connected to each other. Now once you get this browser, you just type browser and say new page. Now notice this returns you page reference. So the moment I say new page, I will be getting page. Let me use page here. Now I can say you can get started. Now you can launch any URL, you can do any operation. So basically the moment you say launch, it creates a browser context. And the moment I say new page, now you can start with a new page, just like we open a new tab, right? So you can imagine pages is like you want to get started with a new page. Now you will see the real magic. The moment I say page dot, you can see now we have so many methods that we can use. All the operations that I will show you will be coming from page. Most of the methods will be coming from page reference. See, huge. So I will tell you when to use what. As of now, in order to start, I will use one method called navigate. So this navigate method, as the name says, it will load that particular URL. Now interesting part is the response is the return type. It means you can use this to get the response. Now in order to start, I will say, okay, maybe start this application. Now once this application will load, let's say I want to capture the title. So I will say page dot title. So it will return me the title of the page, and return type is a string. So title here, if you notice, it says installation Playwright Java. So this is going to capture the title, and I will print this. So I will say title is title. Now please pay attention. The moment I execute this, you will notice something. So let me open the console. It started downloading Chromium. Then it downloaded Playwright build for Firefox. Then it downloaded Playwright build for WebKit. Now again, this is not always it will do. It is the first time that we have configured. It tried checking, do we have Chromium? It could not find on my local system. So what it did, it basically downloaded from this URL, and it got downloaded in my system in this particular location. I will show you these locations. Similarly, it did for Firefox 130, and it maintained here. Same thing it did for WebKit. WebKit is for Safari. It could not found, and it kept here. So if I copy this location, and if I show you, go to this particular folder. Sorry, let me use a parent folder. So you can see just now today downloaded before running. If you already have it, will skip the download, it will reuse it. But since it is the first time we are doing it, it could not find these engines binaries. It downloaded. And this is where it is getting maintained. So tomorrow, if you are getting a new version, you will update the Playwright and it will download the latest binaries. Now going back, this is what I was looking for. Title is installation Playwright Java. So it captured the title, and we are getting the title. Let me run it once again, and this time you will notice it will not download these binaries. If I execute again, notice it did not download. But again, interesting point is it was not showing me which browser I'm running. It just gave me the title, but I could not see where the browser was running. Where is the browser? So here is a point that you need to make a note. By default, Playwright runs your test in headless mode. It means you will not be able to see the execution. It runs in the background. Once it is done, if you're not closing it, it will remain active. If you notice, it is still active until I'm not closing it forcefully. So in order to close this browser, what we need to do, we will say page.close. Then I will say browser.close, and then finally Playwright close. I'm closing a page, then I'm closing a browser, and I'm finally closing the instance of Playwright. Execute again. Notice it started, printed the title, and it is getting terminated. By default, each and every test runs in headless mode. Now the question comes, Mukesh, how do we run in the headed mode? It means you want to see the UI, you want to see what is happening. Now you have to use something called launch options. By default, it is set to true. We will change this to false so that I can see the execution. So what we have to do is use this browser type launch configuration. So for this, go back to Eclipse. You can see this launch, right? Browser type dot launch. So it has one more constructor that if you don't pass anything, by default it is running in the headless mode. But if you pass the launch options, it can launch according to your preferences. It can launch according to the options. How do we pass this launch options? First of all, you type new and use something called browser type. Okay. After this, create a launch option, so put dot, and you can see we have a launch option. Use one method called set headless, and I will make it false. By default, it is set to true. So what we did, we said, okay, we want to launch our browser with this launch options where I don't want headless. Headless we have set to false. It means browser will run in the headed mode. So if I execute this, you can see it started and it's very, very fast. You got the title immediately. So if I just comment this, and comment this, start again so that you can see the execution properly. Yeah. So this is your Chromium. And if you go and if you want to see the version, you can see about Chromium. It's 129.0. It's a developer build. So it's already +1. So if I'm not wrong, normal browser is 128. What we can do, we can quickly check. It is 128. Okay, this is the stable version which I'm using. Playwright is already working on the +1. It's 129. This is exactly what we did today, right? So if you go to writing test, this is what I showed you, right? First use create, then use Chromium, then launch, get the page, navigate, and then do the type click. So I will show you now everything. So come back. Now I want you to practice this. I want after this video, please go ahead, open Eclipse. If you don't have, download, install, add Maven dependency. At the time of recording, I'm using version 1.47.0, but if you're watching this video at a later stage, please use the latest one. See whether you're able to invoke the browser. First try in the headless mode, then you can pass this launch option. Now, how do we work with Firefox? How do we work with WebKit? Very straightforward. It is just you need to change from Chromium to Firefox and from Firefox to WebKit. So let me copy this. Let me comment this. This time, let's say I want to work with Firefox. No other changes. Just change from Chromium to Firefox and execute again. Okay, you can see. Okay, it is again very fast. It immediately closed it. So again, for the time being, let me comment this, execute this. So it's taking some time here. And this is my Firefox. Again, it's +1. So if you see this, this is a nightly build. This is a symbol for Firefox. nightly build, and if you go ahead and check, it's 130 nightly build for Firefox. Now what about WebKit? Let me close the previous instances. I will comment this and I will this time say WebKit. Execute again. It's taking some time. And here we go. So this is your WebKit. Interesting part is, even if you try for Windows, you can work with WebKit. Right now I'm already using Mac, so WebKit is working for me. But even if you work for Windows, you can test Safari engine on Windows too. That's a very cool feature by Playwright. So you can see with one line change, I can change my browser. Moving forward, we will simply create a reusable method so that you don't need to write this lengthy code again and again. Now what about real browsers? Okay, right now let's say if I don't want to use Chromium engine or Firefox nightly build or WebKit engine, can I run my test on the real browser? Answer is yes. Again, just one line of change. Now if you come back to guides, you will notice here we have browsers. And if you come back to Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. Now I want you to just pause this video and read this for a minute. It says, while Playwright can download and use the recent Chromium build, it can also operate against branded Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. So when they say branded, it means the stable version that you're using. Note that Playwright doesn't install them default. So if you remember, when we executed first time, it downloaded Chromium, WebKit and Firefox, right? But it will not install branded Google Chrome and Edge. You need to make sure that you have on your local system. But let's say you want to invoke now branded browser or the stable version of Chrome. You just need to use these channels. It supports Chrome, Chrome beta, for Edge beta release and the dev release. And how do we set this? So use the same launch options, but use one additional method called set channel. What I mean, let's say if I want to use Chrome, not Chromium. So I can go ahead and just, this will remain same, sorry. Use set channel. It will ask you which channel you want to use. This still remains same. I want to use headless equal to false, but this time the channel would be Chrome. Let's see now. You will notice it was going to start, and this time it started my brand Chrome, and yeah, not Chromium engine, branded browser. Similarly, if I want to try for Edge, let's say I can go with Edge, MS Edge. Just replace this with Edge, MS Edge with Microsoft Edge. Yes, it's working on the Edge browser too. Okay, so I hope you got the clarity. So let me do a quick recap. I know it's a very lengthy video, but it is important to cover in one go. Moving forward, it is going to be very straightforward. In the next video, we will be talking about how to interact with browsers. Okay. When I say interact with browser, right now we are just launching and capturing the title, right? We'll see how to interact with web elements, how to do the different operation on browsers. We'll also talk about locators and multiple things. But in order to continue, please, after this video, give a try. Let me know if you face any issues, because for the next few days, I will be uploading back-to-back videos on Playwright, which will give you more clarity and you can add in your resume. So quick recap, we discussed what is Playwright. I will give you the official documentation links. You can go through it. Now in order to continue, we downloaded first Eclipse. I used Eclipse latest version. You go with previous version too, doesn't matter, but make sure you use Java 8 plus above. I'm using right now 11. Use 11, 17, 21 or 23. Once you create a project, you will get pom.xml file. In case if you face any issues, just use https here. Use one parent tag called dependencies. Under that, use one dependency called Playwright artifact. I'm using 1.47.0, but if you get new version, please use the latest version. Then we created one package called getting started. Then I created a Java class called Playwright test. Playwright is the interface. We created Playwright instance using a create method. We got Playwright reference. From that, we told we want to start Chromium Firefox WebKit, which will return you browser type reference. Browser type, we have a method called launch, which will launch the browser. We got the browser instance. And in case if you want to change the options during launch, you can use launch options. You can change headless mode from true to false. You can set the channel. Then you will start a new page. You can start interacting with the page. Once you're done, close the page, close the browser, place the Playwright instance. By default, it runs in headless mode. So you need to disable this headless mode by using set headless to false. The multiple launch options like slow motion. This is very interesting part. So we'll talk about slow motion in the next video or upcoming videos, but very useful feature. So yeah, that's all about this video. Little lengthy video, but it will change your complete perspective towards Playwright. Now let me know if you face any issue, and by any chance, if your friends are looking for Playwright series, please share this video with them. They will also get some insight. You guys can practice parallelly. And if you like this video, then do support this channel, share this video with your friends, subscribe this channel, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.